The Atlanta is 323 meters long. She's being parked in a space with only meters to spare.
Stop engine. Stop engine. What have you got forward now? How much?
What about 5 meters?
5 meters, is that all?
So keep the after spring slack. Don't heat it up.
Keep your spring slack as we come astern.
Even though they perform this operation hundreds of times a year, it's a tense time for all the crew.
All the way on your forward spring now. All the way forward. 2 meters, 2 meters.
2 meters.
Should be on the road in a minute. In position, hold her there now, hold her on your spring.
Another successful docking for the captain and Nair, the pilot. And the moment the Atlanta docks, things swing into action as the trucks line up for loading and unloading. Singapore is one of the largest container terminals in the world, handling 17% of the world's total container trade. In 2004, over 20 million 20-foot containers passed through the port of Singapore. For every single ship, every minute in port counts. A total of 4 giant cranes start moving the Atlanta's containers at breakneck speed. The pressure is on. The Atlanta has 2,200 containers that need to be moved, and the captain's hoping it can be done in under 20 hours. This is where Eric's cargo planning is really put to the test. He has to pre-plan every move and allocate each container a specific position on the ship. No container should be moved twice. Double handling wastes time and money. So containers due to be unloaded at the next port must be stacked close to the top, while a container bound for America needs to be stacked deeper in the hold. The other major concern is keeping the ship balanced during loading. Too much weight on either side of the ship could put it in danger of capsizing. It's Jonathan, the first mate's job to keep a close eye on the Atlanta during this critical time. His computer monitors the distribution of weight around the ship and also allows him to compensate for any uneven loading. Deep in the ship's hull are a network of giant ballast tanks. By moving hundreds of tons of seawater between these tanks, Jonathan can keep the Atlanta on an even keel. To complicate this balancing act even further, the ship has to take on fuel. The Atlanta's tanks can hold over 7.5 million liters of diesel. This is a job for an expert. Bunker boats are the floating petrol stations of the port. This is the only time the Atlanta will take on diesel for the round trip from Asia to America. Today, they're taking on nearly 7,000 tons. It's an operation that will take over 6 hours. With the price of fuel around $280 a ton, this little trip to the gas station will cost the captain nearly $2 million. While the engine's shut down, Alvin, the second engineer, can check out the crankcase. There are certain advantages to working on an engine this big. It's not often a man can stand inside a crankcase to check for loose bolts or undue wear on any of the moving parts. When a cylinder has a bore of nearly a meter and the piston has a stroke of 2.4 meters, any wear is going to cause serious trouble. Among the 2,200 containers being moved today are the 2 that started their journey 2 weeks ago in Australia. The container carrying the latest vintage of Australian Chardonnay needs to be moved quickly, but also with care. The last containers to be loaded on board are the refrigerated containers. These reefers are carrying perishable goods. The one carrying the Australian frozen seafood has to be kept at a temperature of minus 18 degrees throughout the entire journey. Jonathan, the first mate, hooks them up to the ship's power supply in order to get the refrigeration units working as soon as possible. While on board, the crew will check their temperatures twice a day, every day. Below decks, the crew go on a manhunt. At dock, there's always the risk of taking on extra cargo, human cargo. Stowaways looking for a free ride to the USA. Stowaways have been known to climb mooring ropes at night and are sometimes even hiding inside the containers. If they get on board, they pose a real security threat. While the crew search for stowaways down below, up on the bridge, the officers are planning for the sea voyage ahead. It's the second mate's responsibility to plot the course. It's an intricate combination of old world tradition and new age technology. He does his initial plotting using charts, slide rule, and compass, and then transfers the data into a computer. The advanced software then links his data to the satellite navigation systems and radar. The result? The officers on the bridge can plot the ship's course and see any oncoming traffic, all in real time.
Well, the beauty of that for me is you see where you are instantly. You see exactly where the ship is. And there's many times I have to be on my own, so I need to know where she is. A ship of this size, when she's drawing 13.6, 14 metres, we need to know exactly where she is.
The search for stowaways below deck is complete, and the crew have given the bridge the all clear. Nearly 22 hours after first docking, all of the new containers are on board and are being secured for the long trip to Hong Kong. Each container is lashed to the rows above and below in a matrix which locks every single container rigidly in place. This ensures that none of the cargo, including those bottles of Australian wine, will shift if the Atlanta starts pitching in a storm at sea. A full 2 hours later than planned, but with all cargo on board and firmly secured, the Atlanta is ready to leave Singapore. Taking a giant out of port can be even more difficult than bringing one in. And of course, that clock has started ticking again.
Coming in and out of port, we're under more stress than when we're sailing out in the open sea. And we got deadlines to meet, sailing schedules. They want us there at a certain time, we can't get there.